What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to take a look at the payment schedule for June. And it's important that we focus on this because we're hearing the talk of this possible default. And if we default on our payments, people who are receiving their benefits early could be affected. We're also going to take a look at the calendar of events for this week because we do have some important dates that we should be focused on. So that's what we're going to do in this video. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, if you're not getting notifications, please let me know in the comments below, and also follow me on Twitter at the TEC Show Live. Okay, so let's go right over to our calendar, and I want to focus on, before we even look at the calendar, I just want to focus on the fact that you have both chambers. Both chambers are going to be in session and this pretty much the whole week, and then the Senate will be there on Friday. So it's important that something get done this week. So as far as them hashing out some type of a deal, it's very important that they get that done this week, because if they don't, then there's a real possibility that we could see nothing get done. Okay, so we're really watching this week. If we don't see anything done this week, there's a good possibility that we're probably going to go up to the 11th hour. So we'll probably be around the 1st before we find out anything when it comes to the debt ceiling. So now let's take a look at what will transpire this week. So today on the 15th, not much is going to happen. However, tomorrow, there's a discharge petition that they're going to try to get through the House. So that's something that we're going to be keeping an eye on. We'll have to see if they actually get this discharge petition. And basically, Democrats are trying to petition the House to vote on a clean debt ceiling. But in order for the Democrats to do that, they're going to need 5 Republicans, and that might be a non-starter. You might not have any Republicans support this. So we'll keep an eye on it and see if they do have the votes. And basically what this would do is it would bypass Speaker McCarthy. So they would be able to vote on something without Speaker McCarthy calling the bill to the floor. And so as a speaker, you have the power to call any bill that you want to the floor. And so even if the Democrats were to put together this bill, this clean debt ceiling bill, it would still need to go to Speaker McCarthy, and Speaker McCarthy would have to, in a normal procedure, Speaker McCarthy would have to bring it to the floor. But if they do a discharge petition, they have the opportunity, Democrats have an opportunity to go ahead and force it to the floor for a vote. So we'll have to see. They need 5 Republicans. Like I said, right now, Democrats and Republicans are so divided, I can't see them coming on board. I can't see 5 Republicans coming on board. But nonetheless, that is something that they're talking about. Also, sometime this week, let's say Tuesday is what I've heard, there will be another meeting between the Speaker and leadership in the Senate as well as the White House. So we'll be keeping our eye on Tuesday to see if they even have that meeting. So they might even postpone the meeting like they did on Friday. There was supposed to be a meeting last Friday, and the postponement was because some of the aides said that they were making progress, although Speaker McCarthy has said that they didn't make any progress at all. So, I mean, you're hearing... this is just a complete disaster. And when it comes to Congress, I mean, this is not anything this is usual. This is usual. And that's the sad part about it. And we're in a situation where we're facing an economic disaster, and you have these politicians still playing games and saying, well, we don't know if it was productive or wasn't productive, or it was. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's crazy to think about the fact that Congress is just doing nothing. Okay. Congress, the government as a whole right now, they're doing nothing, and we could be in a real bad situation. The American people can really be in a bad situation, and our debt would get even worse. So if you're thinking this whole debt ceiling debate, this whole budget talk, I did a video yesterday where I was talking about that very same thing, and I used the credit card analogy. If you have a credit card and you don't pay that credit card, guess what? Things get worse. You go deeper into debt because you have to pay late fees, as well as you're going to have to pay more in interest. The same thing will happen to our economy if we default on our payments. If we don't make the payments, then we're going to have to pay more. So we'll go deeper into debt. So this is not helping us at all. This whole threat of not raising the debt ceiling, that's not helping us. That's actually hurting us. So let's take a look here. So we know, as far as we talked about the 16th, now the 17th and the 18th, these are the important dates that I think we should be focused on, because I think the most negotiating will happen at this point. So we'll hear more about some different plans that plans to move forward, because right now we still don't have, we have the House, Speaker McCarthy, they passed their bill, but we don't know what the alternative is yet. That hasn't been put forward yet. And so once we see what that alternative is, then we'll have a better idea of how to move forward. Another thing that we need to talk about, another thing we have not seen yet, is we know that Speaker McCarthy passed this bill and they want to roll back spending to 2022. However, they're just talking about spending levels. They're not saying specifically where they're going to cut. They have not provided that yet. So you could have people, let's say the Social Security Administration, they're saying it's about 22%. And the reason why the Social Security Administration is saying it would be about a 22% cut is because if you roll things back to 2022 spending, that's how they're calculating that. But they don't know, because we don't know exactly where they're going to pull the money from, because they could pull the money from a variety of different areas, and they might pull, let's say, and I'm just giving an example, but let's say instead of the 22%, they actually want to pull even more from Social Security and not pull as much from Veterans Affairs. So that, I mean, when we're looking at this whole situation, we don't know exactly where they want to pull the money from. And that's something Speaker McCarthy has not provided. He hasn't itemized where this money is going to be cut from. And so that needs to happen. You can't just say, overall spending, we're going back to 2022. You have to let us know exactly where you want to pull that money from. So getting back to the calendar here, these two dates here, the 17th and the 18th, very, very crucial. And so we'll have to see if anything comes on those 2 days. And then on Friday, usually Friday's a short day for them, so they don't work the whole Friday, but the Senate will be there. So we'll see if the Senate can come up with some type of a plan. Moving forward, since we know that the House has passed a bill, we're really looking at the Senate right now. We're looking at the Senate to try to figure out, are they going to put some bill together, some type of a bill where you have a raising of the debt ceiling with maybe a promise of future budget talks, or actually putting the raising the debt ceiling and the budget bill together and trying to pass that. And so that's where we are when it comes to the calendar of events for this week. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the calendar as a whole, because when we're looking at the calendar, and first off, let's go ahead and go over to our calendar here. And this is the Social Security Administration. They put out a payment schedule. Okay. So in June, if we're looking at the 1st, June 1st falls on a Thursday. And the important thing about the 1st is, if we were to default on the 1st, now Treasury Secretary Yellen has indicated that on or around June 1st is when we will completely run out of money and we won't be able to pay our bills. Okay. On or around, that doesn't mean that it's going to be June 1st, but it just means around this time is when money will run out. So let's just say that it does run out on the 1st. If it runs out on the 1st, that means you still have Friday. And guess what? If we default on a Thursday, Friday, the stock market will go crazy, absolutely crazy. And so if you have a 401k, if you have other retirement plans, if you're investing in the stock market, you're probably going to see a disastrous day on the stock market. So that is one thing that we need to focus on. Also, on the 1st, if we default, you could see some disruption when it comes to the Social Security Administration, which means people receiving SSI could see a delay in their payment. Okay, now I've said could see. I'm not saying that this is automatic. I'm just saying if we can't pay our bills on the 1st, there could be a delay or a disruption when it comes to payments on the 1st for people receiving SSI. Now, also on the 2nd, let's say they don't get their act together. Let's say we go into a default on the 1st and they take Thursday and Friday. They can't figure out some type of a resolution. Maybe they need to work until the weekend. That could affect people receiving Social Security. So people who normally receive Social Security on the 3rd, because the 3rd falls on a Saturday, you would now receive it on the 2nd. However, if we're not paying our bills, if we default and we're not paying our bills, there is a possibility that those people that normally receive Social Security on the 3rd, and in this case on the 2nd, there would be a disruption in their payments as well. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because this is a very important time period. These first 2 weeks of June are going to be very, very crucial because if they can't get their act together, there's a very real possibility that you do see a disruption. Now, on the other hand, if you look at June 1st, June 2nd, let's say we still have money to pay our bills and we don't see a default until maybe the 7th or the 6th or the 8th. So we see it in that second week of June. And in a situation like that, people who receive their Social Security benefits later, let's say you normally get it on the 14th and they base it on when you were born. So if you get it on the 14th or the second week of the month, then if we're in a default at that time, that could affect your payments. That could disrupt your payments. So just something to really pay attention to when it comes to this whole situation. But just looking at the calendar, the 1st is going to be everybody's going to be watching the 1st. And if we cannot pay our bills on the 1st, the stock market will suffer on Friday, as well as there's a huge potential for a delay in payments on the 1st. So people receiving those payments on the 1st. Also something to note, if you're receiving SSI, there are 2 checks going out in June. Now, 2 checks go out in June. That means in July, you're not going to receive a check because if you're receiving SSI, you're going to receive a check on the 1st and you're going to receive a check on the 30th. That is the normal calendar. However, like I said, when it comes to the default, we're going to be watching that to see where that goes. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention because I think it's very important for us to look at the calendar because right now, there's a lot of stuff that's up in the air. We don't know what Congress is going to do. We don't know if they're going to raise the debt ceiling. If they don't raise the debt ceiling and we go into default, then we could see disruption. Okay. And I said we could see that it's not an automatic. This is a situation where we've never been here before as far as if we go into a default, it will be the first time in history. So if we do go into default, they don't know how they're going to be able to pay all the bills. And that's why we're talking about this disruption when it comes to people receiving Social Security as well as veterans. So this is a serious situation that really didn't need to happen because Congress, they just can't get their act together. And that's the problem. And I keep saying Congress. And the reason why I keep saying Congress is because Congress needs to pass the bill. Okay, you can blame the president, and most people probably will blame the president if we default. But the reality is money comes from Congress. Congress has the purse, which means they need to pass these bills. When it comes to raising the debt ceiling, when it comes to the budget, they need to do this on their own and then send it to the president to sign off on. And so they have to initiate this. And so if they don't initiate this, you can blame the president all you want, but really the blame goes to Congress because they're the ones that aren't getting together and voting on these bills in order to avoid defaults and things like that. So I want to know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.